you're in Colorado. Imagine a world at the edge of the Rocky Mountains, where the peaks seem to pierce the sky, where oxygen grows thin, and every breath turns into frozen crystals in the air. Most animals choose to hide here just to survive, but there is one that spends every moment on the edge of cliffs, almost challenging gravity itself. You're looking at it right now. The animal in front of you is the Rocky Mountain Bighorn Sheep, scientifically known as Ovis canuts, the official state animal of Colorado. But that title alone doesn't even begin to describe it, because the bighorn is not just a symbol. It is a climbing machine, built to survive in one of the harshest environments on Earth. And to truly understand this animal, we need to take a closer look at the extraordinary choices nature made in its design. Let's start with its incredible physical structure. But first, ask yourself this: how would you stay balanced on a vertical rock face, on a ledge so narrow that even human hands would struggle to hold on? The bighorn's answer lies in its hooves. Its split hooves can move completely independently. Each side can open, close, grip the rock, and instantly adjust pressure with every step. The outer edge is hard and sharp, almost like a blade digging into stone. The inner surface is soft and rubber-like, creating natural friction that prevents slipping. This biomechanical design is so impressive that even professional climbing gear manufacturers have studied it as inspiration. For rock climbing shoes, a bighorn can climb a vertical rock face at speeds of up to 1.5 meters per second. That's surprisingly close to the walking speed of a human on flat ground. But remember, this speed isn't on a sidewalk, it's on a near vertical wall of stone, where gravity is constantly pulling you down, and one small mistake could mean the end. Now let's talk about muscle. The bighorn's back legs are extraordinarily powerful relative to its body weight. The muscle density in those legs is optimized for both speed and explosive force across rocky terrain. It can leap more than 4 meters horizontally and jump up to 1.8 meters vertically. But muscle alone doesn't make that possible. The real secret lies in its tendons. With every movement, energy is stored in the tendons, then released in a sudden burst of power. It's like a bow being drawn and released. Except this bow has to work perfectly, hundreds of times a day, in temperatures as low as -30 degrees, with very little oxygen in the air. And then, there are the horns. In males, these massive horns can weigh up to 14 kilograms. That's nearly 10% of the animal's total body weight. Imagine carrying something on your head that weighs 10% of your body, then running, jumping, and climbing rocks every single day. The bighorn does exactly that. And these horns are not just heavy, they are incredibly strong. Built from layers of keratin and bone, they are designed to absorb and distribute massive impact forces during collisions, preventing fatal injuries in the brutal face of nature. Every detail of the bighorn is engineered for survival. It is not just an animal, it is a masterpiece of adaptation. One of the most dramatic and least understood moments in the world of the Rocky Mountain Bighorn Sheep is the famous horn clash between males. When two male bighorns face each other, complete silence takes over. For several seconds, sometimes even minutes, they study one another, measuring horn size, judging strength, reading every movement. This silent duel can last for a long time. They slowly back away, and without warning, they charge, full speed, no hesitation, no brakes at the moment of impact. The force can exceed 3,400 newtons. To put that into perspective, crash test dummies in the automotive industry are often exposed to impact forces in a similar range. In other words, when two bighorns collide head-to-head, the force is comparable to a vehicle crash test. And they do this, high in the mountains, again and again. So how do they survive such massive impacts without serious injury? The answer lies in one of evolution's greatest designs. The skull, a bighorn skull, is built with a double-layered bone structure. Between those hard layers is a spongy shock-absorbing tissue. During impact, this tissue absorbs and spreads the energy, dramatically reducing the force that reaches the brain. This natural design is so efficient that engineers working on advanced sports helmets, including those used in the National Football League, as well as military protection systems, have studied the bighorn skull for inspiration. Nature's biological armor is helping shape modern protective technology. And when we look at their senses, the engineering becomes even more impressive. A bighorn's eyes are positioned on the sides of its head in a way that allows it to see nearly 300 degrees without turning its head, but the real advantage lies in its pupils. Unlike human eyes, the bighorn has horizontal pupils perfectly designed to scan the horizon. This allows it to detect even the smallest movement. Against the mountain skyline, its vision is supported by an incredibly sharp sense of smell. A bighorn can detect the scent of a predator from miles away, carried only by the wind, especially during winter. On the frozen peaks of Colorado, when snowstorms reduce visibility to almost zero, smell becomes its primary navigation system. Its metabolism tells another survival story. When winter arrives, the bighorn does not hibernate. Instead, it dramatically slows its metabolism, conserving every possible bit of energy. When food becomes scarce and snow rises several feet deep, they dig through frozen ground for hours using their hooves, searching for buried grass, even when all they can find is low-calorie lichen, moss, or sparse mountain vegetation. Their highly efficient digestive system extracts the maximum nutrition from every bite. Their social structure also supports survival for most of the year. Male and female bighorns live in separate groups. This reduces competition for resources and increases the herd's chances of survival. Status is often determined by horn size. Larger horns mean experience, dominance, and higher rank and most of the time. One look is enough to decide who leads. Physical combat only happens when every other form of silent diplomacy has failed. The role of the Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep in the ecosystem of Colorado is one of its least discussed, yet most critical contributions. It is a natural regulator of high-altitude grasslands. Grazing on steep slopes where even humans struggle to reach, the bighorn actively shapes plant life across the mountains. By preventing certain plant species from overgrowing, it creates space for more delicate species that need light and room to survive. Much of the biodiversity of the Rocky Mountains depends on the silent work of this mountain gardener, but its impact goes far beyond grazing. The bighorn also operates one of nature's most effective seed distribution systems. As it moves across the mountains, it carries plant seeds from high elevation and spreads them across miles of rugged terrain in many parts of Colorado. The spread of rare plant species closely matches the migration paths of the bighorn. It is one of nature's most efficient transportation systems, operating entirely on its own. Of course, for this system to remain balanced, predators are essential. Mountain lion and gray wolf help keep bighorn populations healthy, both physically and genetically. By removing weak, injured, or sick individuals, predators help maintain the overall strength of the herd. When this balance between hunter and prey is disrupted, the entire ecosystem begins to weaken. But perhaps the most dramatic part of the bighorn story lies in its population history. In the early 1800s, nearly 2 million bighorns once lived across Colorado. Habitat loss and uncontrolled hunting caused that number to collapse. By the early 1900s, only a few thousand remained. Its recovery took decades of determined conservation work. Colorado Parks and Wildlife relocated animals to protected habitats, reduced contact with domestic herds, and helped rebuild the population. Today, nearly 8,000 bighorns live in Colorado's mountains. That number is still far below historical levels. But for a species once pushed to the edge of extinction, it represents an extraordinary comeback. Now, put all the pieces together. The perfectly engineered hooves that inspired climbing equipment, the ability to climb at 1.5 meters per second and leap more than 4 meters in a single jump. The double-layered skull, capable of absorbing impacts over 3,400 newtons, a design that has inspired modern football helmets. Nearly 300 degrees of vision and pupils built to scan the horizon, calling the Rocky Mountain Bighorn Sheep simply the strongest animal in Colorado, is not enough. It is the silent, resilient guardian of these mountains, a species pushed to the edge by human activity that still climbs these frozen cliffs today. Without help, without surrender, and without stopping, that is a story of survival. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're curious about which animal we'll explore next, turn on notifications. See you in the next one.